Welcome to A Toast to the Men with your guy S.D. Booker. Once again, we're here Tuesday and we have Phoenix Rising visits S.D. Booker. Let's bring her in. How's it going, Phoenix?
Very good. Very good.
Good, good. Well, it's Tuesday again. Uh, we got our session. Phoenix Rising visits S.D. Booker. So we got a lot on the table. A lot on the
Yeah.
table today that I want to get into. I want to start with, and we've had this discussion before.
hmm
We didn't bring it to the public. I kind of wanted to, do a little research on it first before I brought it out. But a touchy subject, which it shouldn't be. I think that's one of our problems as a society, and that's money. Uh, Especially when it comes to the religious sectors or religions, the church, how people view money, what we've been taught. And I think it's done us some disservice. It's been a lot of our detriment on how we've been taught to handle money and see money. So, can you give me a little backstory on how you were raised and how to view money?
Well, I think we touched on this on one of our other lives, but basically, money's the root of all evil. A rich man can't get to heaven. That's how I was raised. Like poverty is a virtue, which is so weird because if that's the case, then why are all these people like Job and like all these people in the Bible? I mean, come on, it doesn't even make sense.
Right, right. Yeah,
So that's kind of what it was. And of course, I grew up very poor. um we had basically had what we grew. So
yeah.
I didn't think we were poor.
What your
I mean,
parents? What your parents think?
oh, they thought we were they thought we were really hard up. They were so afraid they weren't going to be able to feed us. But
There you go.
I I didn't realize. I mean, we were happy. We had my all the food from my mom's garden. And you know
Well, that's partly due to some good parenting. The kids shouldn't be stressed out
yeah.
over money, and so
Yeah.
they protected you guys from that. But your parents felt the stresses of it,
hmm
of lack thereof,
right.
um, and that's probably a result. Not probably, from what you tell me, that's a result of how they were raised, what they were taught.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't make sense to be stressed over anything, you
hmm
know. But it's weird to me that, like you said, in the Bible, there's uh, a lot of examples of some wealthy individuals, right?
Right.
Wealthy individuals. But then, the pastor will tell you also that money is evil,
hmm
right?
hmm
I've never seen a class in church on how to manage money, how to invest money. Um, but there are examples in the Bible how to be a good steward of money, how to invest.
Right.
But they really don't dive deep into it and really explain the importance of it. And money is a very powerful tool, and that's how we got to see it—a tool that we're to use, not money use us, but that we are
Right.
supposed to use money as a tool. Uh, it's not the most powerful tool. It is a powerful tool, but it's not the most powerful tool. To me, the most powerful tool um, is relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
relationships.
agree. Well, I
Yeah,
have a question. So, and I know you've seen this too. You've seen people where, all of a sudden they come into money for whatever reason and they just kind of lose it. They
right,
just kind of lose it. They just go out and literally self destruct.
right.
Why? Why? Is it the way it was programmed into them, or what happens? Why does that happen?
Yeah, it's a programming. But the person that goes out and blows money as soon as they
Yeah.
get it, that's never had it, doesn't know how to treat it, they're no different. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum than the person, the miser, who hoards money and never
Hmm.
wants to spend it, and
Right.
just never wants to circulate it. So these two are the same type of people to me. They don't have a good, healthy relationship with money, and so yeah, so and that person that's hoarding the money can go broke too. Let a good disaster come through, and they hadn't invested, and their money is not making money. They could find themselves in the same situation as the poor guy, the financially poor guy. Uh, so the Bible teaches us to invest, to circulate our money, to double, triple our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it teaches that,
Hmm.
but that's not really highlighted. I haven't been to a church where it's highlighted,
Right.
and the
No,
pastors that,
not at all. Not
yeah,
at all.
and the pastors that did come out, we take Reverend Ike for instance. He came out. He was different from everybody else back then. He was crucified. He was talked badly upon, man. Like, and now they're all still in his style. They're all, they're all, not all of them, but a lot of them are preaching how he was preaching back in the '70s. He was way ahead of his time, uh, but he wasn't teaching anything that wasn't in the Bible. But a lot of us just have too much faith in pastors, and we don't take the time to show ourselves approved, to study for ourselves, to get an understanding on our own. So we have a bad relationship with money, and so
Hmm.
you know, uh, I come from a neighborhood, a community where I wouldn't say it was poor. Uh, we would call it the hood, but it wasn't poor. Some people um, did better than others. It was a working class, I would say, up
Okay.
until I was probably the eighth grade, and then welfare, Section 8 kind of took a hold. But up until then, it was a working class community. People had jobs. There are a lot of fathers in the homes. Uh, I wouldn't say half, but there was a lot. Probably I would say 30, 40%, maybe more. But we didn't come from no one had a lot of money. You know,
Right.
um, so I could definitely see guys when they started making money, not spending it wisely. When I started making a decent amount of money at an early age, I didn't invest. I didn't spend it wisely. I wasn't taught. I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't know anything about investing. I just knew put your money in a bank account. That's all I knew. But
Right.
no one taught me how to double my money, how to circulate my money, how to invest my money, how to save money. Nobody taught me that.
Mm.
So I had to bump my head and learn later in life. Um, but yeah. So just not taught, and so when you finally get it, and not only that, you're not taught. You're given the wrong. Uh, you're given the wrong impression of what money is. We're not taught it's
Right.
a tool.
Right. Right.
And so when you see people with money on television, you're getting the wrong identity of what money should be, right? And so when you finally get it, uh, you misuse it. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
I was thinking about just listening to you. I was thinking, money is an energy. It's not a thing. I mean,
right,
we think of it as a thing, but
right,
it's an energy. And for energy to keep moving, it can't have a stoppage.
right,
It can't be blocked.
right.
So when you
It
think about
circulates.
you, yeah, I noticed that you mentioned the area where you lived, was a working area until welfare and Section 8 came in. Well, then what happened?
Yeah, I mean the
What did you
housing,
see happen?
the quality of
Yeah.
housing went down. The community went down. The streets had more potholes. You start seeing a different type of student in the classroom. Start seeing a different type of adult hanging around the corner stores. And,
Hmm.
things like that. Yeah. So
So
that's what comes with it.
would you say that the doing that, giving handouts to people that don't work, that don't earn it, is stealing their dignity? How
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. For me personally, let's just say all of a sudden somebody just, is all, you all of a sudden don't work. You're not working at all. And you're just getting all these handouts or whatever. You would feel really rotten about yourself.
Yeah, that's a
So,
double-edged
so, in,
sword.
so, so in a way, I believe, and you see this in third world countries. If you go over there in ministry work to help,
Hmm.
you can very easily steal the people's dignity rather than build them up if you're not careful.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a tricky thing, you know. People have to want to help themselves. So as you
Yeah,
know, with Angel to Angel, you know, we help the disenfranchised, the poor, the needy, the elderly. We mentor students. So dealing with the homeless is a big part of what we do. It's one of our programs. But people have to be able to help themselves. And so uh, when you pacify people, you handicap them, and it takes a lot to fight through that. So it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
everybody that's not fighting. You know, it's not,
yeah,
and you know, I don't want you to get a misconception of that community because you got to be in that community to really understand. That's a lot of people working. You know, I think there's a small percentage that are not working, but a lot of people that are working are making low income, you know, salaries.
right,
You know,
right, yeah, yeah,
so the thing is, just like the person that doesn't want to work that's getting the handouts, right?
hmm,
That doesn't want to work. That's a self-esteem issue. That's a character issue,
hmm,
you know. But on the flip side, you take someone who has the education, who wants to work, who has money, but is still blinded by money. So they're willing to do anything for the money. They're willing to swindle, you know, uh,
yeah,
be dishonest, you know, cut corners. That's a character issue. That's a spiritual
hmm,
issue.
hmm,
So what separates them from the person that doesn't want to work? It all
mm,
starts with the spirit. It starts with character. It starts with a mentality.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. We got to start building up our character. All of us. We got to work on
hmm,
character
hmm,
and build up the spirit, and everything else will fall in place.
yeah.
Let me see. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Just, there's just a lot to think about and a lot of angles, because I don't know, you observe different scenarios, and you know, I see people that maybe they lost a job, they're out of a job, or even some veterans and things like that. But some of those, when you help them, they honestly take it and use it to springboard themselves to the next level.
Hmm.
But then I've also seen others that, they're in such a low depressive state that they will take that and maybe just go buy drugs to try to hide what their feelings really are, or I don't
Right.
know. I've
Right.
wondered so many times because I've been in, around Chicago, tent city and stuff like that, and you see some, just pathetic things, and you just wish you could help them. But a lot of them, when you ask somebody, oh, well, they're doing, cocaine, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. So anything that you give that's where it's going to go. Well, then, you can resort to giving them food, but it's just hard to know how to work in areas like that. For me, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, it seems like it can feel sometimes like you're trying to climb up a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are you really making an impact?
Yeah.
Um, you know, and so that's why I said money is just a tool. So people who don't want to work, the people on drugs or alcoholism, like that's a totally different issue. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's a different issue. So, you know, do we not feed them? You know what I'm saying? Do we not house them? still our
Yeah.
brothers and our sisters. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know.
so it's
Mm,
tricky. It's tricky.
it is.
So, you know, I told a story of when I first went to a homeless shelter to help out with Angel to Angel. That was my first time ever going to help out. I had just joined them,
Hmm.
and uh, there were some guys in there who lived there, of course, who were debating about the Dallas Cowboys. And my first thought was, man, that should be the last thing on your mind. Like, I would be trying to get up out of here. But then
Right.
I, right. But then I thought about it. I was like, wow. So, are they too comfortable, or should you still be able to find joy in the smallest things, no matter what your situation is?
Hmm.
And so, I don't know their hearts. I don't know their minds. I don't know what they want to do, their aspirations. So, for me, I have to step out of it and not judge,
Yeah.
right? And just
Yeah.
give.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just give. Um,
Hmm.
and so, if you can, maybe only impact one or two people out of 50. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
I think so. You know, yeah. So it's a tricky thing, but we just talk poorly about money, and in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, like you said, money is energy. They talk about that. He talks about that. Robert, I think Kiyosaki. He talks about that. Money is energy, and however you treat money, whatever you tell money, it will treat you the same way. If you say, I don't care about money, money will say, I don't care about you. If you say screw money, money say screw you. If you say treat money right, money will say I would treat you right. It's energy. And
Right.
so, I either try to correct people or I stay away if I can't correct them to see things a
Hmm.
different way when they speak poorly about money. I really do. Uh, if you say you hate money, if you say you dislike money, if you say money is evil, it's time for us to part ways. But if you say money is king, money rules everything, money is God, it's time for us to part ways too. Because both of these
Right.
people have an unhealthy relationship with money.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're not much different.
Yeah. It's an imbalance. It's all about having the scales balanced on all things, and it's just. I think that's where our challenges in life is to be balanced, and whatever it is.
Right? It's all about perspective. It's
Yeah.
all about perspective, how you view yourself, how you view things, how you view people. That's what it all comes down to, perspective.
Hmm.
And I don't hate money, and I don't despise money, and money's not my god. But money is a tool that I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think I made a post the other day. You could be so so godly, that you're no earthly good. Our heaven and our earth should look the same. Our spiritual world and our material world should look the same. We should be able to impact people on both levels in both worlds. I believe that.
Yeah, because technically they're not separate. It's just our mind that separates it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We should bring it
That
together.
separation is an illusion. I
Yes.
mean, I believe we're multidimensional beings, and we can move in different vibrations at the same time. But you know, for
Right.
some reason, we have this illusion that everything's separate. So we keep this in this tidy little box here, and this here, and this here, and it's just like
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. As a result, we're limiting ourselves.
Right?
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
not embodied. We're not embodying our full potential.
Hmm.
I mean, we're gods and goddesses. But we got to act like it, though. We got to talk like it. We got to walk like it. So, yeah, we can't live in fear of anything.
Right.
Yeah. Now, another thing you brought up which is interesting, and I really want to dive into this compatibility. Compatibility. Is it important when we mate, when we decide to build with someone, marry, or we'll just say build with someone? Uh, how important is it? Can compatibility change over the years? And how do we know we're compatible? You wanna you wanna
Mm.
dive into that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting. I mean, that's interesting. Points and questions, and I don't, I don't have the answers to things. It's just something really interesting because, very obviously, if let's just say two people get married at a really young age,
Mhm.
and as they're growing older, one grows into this way and the other one maybe doesn't. So then what happens? Are they compatible? Do they
Right,
lose it? You know what I'm saying?
right, right. Yeah, and I've thought about that before too. Well, what was the foundation? What was the compatibility based on? Was it superficial? Did it come? Was the characteristics based on character? Um, you know, intellect.
That's interesting because your perception at 18 years old is different than your perception when you're 30s or 40s, totally
Right,
different.
right.
So what you may be compatible with at 18 years old is not the same as when you're older. I don't know. So how do
Yeah,
you, I mean, my children, three that have gotten married very young as well. And I mean, they all seem fine now, but how I think it's about, people growing together and being able to grow on the same path. Like my parents, they both were 19 when they got married, and
mhm,
they've been married for 51 years. And just looking at everything, I didn't see any incompatibilities, or if they had them, they worked through them. Everybody is not going to be compatible in every, I mean, I don't know if you'd say the word compatible. They're not going to agree on everything. Just because you don't agree on something, I don't think is incompatibility, depending on what it is. I mean,
right.
if you agree on main key issues, I don't know, what are some of the key issues that you think that you should be on the same page? Because it says in the Bible not to be unequally yoked. What does that mean?
Yeah, and I did a I did a video on that. Um, it's strange because, well, let me ask you something. You said your parents have been married like what, over 50 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so to your knowledge, because you probably wasn't you weren't around, but to your knowledge, from where your parents started when they met and what they were doing, what they aspired to be, if they had certain aspirations, whatever they wanted, um, are they far from that?
No.
Have they? See, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. See, does that allow them to be married for 50 years because they didn't have a lot of aspirations?
I see what
Or,
you're saying.
yeah, or did they forego them? Did they give up on their aspirations? Like I was like 25 years old. I had a heart to heart talk with my mom one day. I came over to her house
Mm-hmm.
and we got to talking about her brother who had died, and well, he had died years previously, and we're just talking about different things. And I just asked her, what did you want to be when you were growing up? And she said she always wanted to be a housewife. I
Yeah.
never knew this, right? I never knew this, right? And she said, sometimes you never get what you want out of life. And at this time, she was crying
Hmm.
because she was talking about her brother, thinking about him, and just different things. But I had to let that go in one ear and out the other. Yeah, because I just don't subscribe to that. That you don't get what you want in life. And I didn't correct her. It wasn't the time. And so,
Hmm.
but she had given up on being a housewife. Like, do you even know what your mom or your dad wanted to be when they were young?
Well, yeah, I mean, they talked about it. I mean, they talked about it quite a bit. And their dream was, when they met, their dream was to, meet, to find a nice little farm to farm. And my mom wanted to be a farmer's wife, and dad wanted to be a farmer, and to raise a family. And so they did. That's what they did, and were successful at that.
So,
So
so, so maybe that allowed them to stay married for 50 years
yeah.
because one is not aspiring to do anything outside of what they started as. I don't know.
Well, they always had side projects. They always, would start doing this, or my dad would, say, "Well, I want to do this," and he'd start doing little side things, and my mom would, start doing this little job or this little thing or whatever. They always were doing. They never just sat and did the same things ever. They were both very creative. So I don't
Right,
know.
right.
I think they just kind of enjoyed it as they went along, from the looks of it to me.
Yeah, but I'm telling you though, and I'm not saying this is the case, but sometimes, especially in that era, we can get a false sense of what our parents and who our parents are.
Hmm.
I was with a woman who became kind of bitter towards her parents when she got older because she felt like they did her injustice by her thinking they never had conflict, and it
Well,
hurt
I
her
mean,
later in
my
relationships.
yeah, yeah. My mom and dad had, they wouldn't agree on everything, and they didn't hide it.
Right.
But they always sat down and worked it out. They, sometimes they just talked for a really long time, but they would work it out. It wasn't that there was never conflict,
Okay.
and they didn't try
Yeah.
to hide conflict.
Well, that's good. That's good. When
I
it comes
mean,
to compatibility, I think as a species, this human species we are now. They say there's been a total of 14 human species throughout history, and we're the 14th, right? And they say we are the most advanced species. Uh, but I think there's a lot of complication that comes with that. I just don't think these other species were thinking about uh, love languages,
right,
right?
right.
And
Hmm.
and roses, and just man, all kind of stuff, man. I want to do this now. I want to do that now. There's so much,
Yeah, it was
and
simple, wasn't it? It was
right,
simple.
right.
Yeah,
There's so much,
simple.
right? So we've created this world where, man, we're technically advanced, right? Technology is on a different level,
Right.
um, but it also complicates things too
Hmm.
because there's so much. And then you have social media that can play a part in that too now.
You
So
know, you
there's
know, that's funny that you say that, because yeah, used to be, it was like, either I like you or I don't like you. That's
well,
it.
what it was so simple to where the woman chose the guy. It was brawn over beauty. It didn't
Hmm.
matter really how he looked.
Yeah.
Who was the strongest? Who's the fastest? Who was the most respected
Right.
amongst his peers? That also did something for her because that was paramount for her in bringing offspring into the world. So she would know
Hmm.
the whole thing was to bring healthy offspring into the world.
Right.
So she's looking at him. Is he sickly? She's looking at his frame. She's looking at right. Is he respected? She's
Yeah.
looking at all that because she
Yeah.
wants to have
She's
his
looking
children.
at she's looking at
Right,
if he's bald, because if he's bald, then his hormones are out of whack. It's just,
right, right.
it's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was researching that a while back, and it was just funny.
yeah. She's looking at different things, like that. But now, I mean, there's so much, and yeah, we have complicated it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So are you looking at the comments? We got free on, and they wanted to know if you had a YouTube page. They said you should start one. You should consider it at some point.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it, but it's yeah. I might not get very many posts because of time, but yeah, I'm considering it.
Yeah, you should look into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So compatibility. How do we? Is it each his own? How we go about it? But what's the thing? I don't think people are totally honest though. So how do you know who you're getting with?
Hmm.
I just don't believe people are totally honest about who they are and what they want.
And sometimes I think people don't know themselves.
Exactly.
If you don't know yourself, how do you know? I mean,
Exactly. If you don't know who you are, it's hard for someone to really know who they're getting with.
right.
And
Yeah,
some people, they don't know who they are.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get with someone, and then after a few years, the frustration sets in. Maybe they're going a different way, in their career or what they want to do with their life or aspirations. Uh, you're trying to figure it out. So you're
Mm-hmm.
going through something, and there's the disconnect. And now you thought you were compatible, but you really were not compatible the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
One or both was putting on a facade, and
Yeah.
and maybe didn't know it sometimes.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. That's that's where it gets so complicated. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we've had some remarkable advances in technology, but it's
Right.
complicated things.
Mm-hmm.
It really has. You take people in the comments. You take us. We're all connected through social media.
Yeah.
That's quite an advance. Like none of us have ever met physically.
Exactly. It's
But I guess it could be a blessing and a curse though.
yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I can see both sides of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and an extension of that compatibility and advances, evolution, gender roles. You know, I was looking at a documentary, and it was talking about the different human species throughout history, and much hasn't changed
mhm,
when it comes to the roles of the male and the female. You know, the hunter, the gatherer, the nurturer, the disciplinary or the orderly person. Um, much hasn't changed, but it seems like in today's world, there's a fight over gender roles.
mhm.
Some people think they're dated. Some people think we should stick to them. Uh, yeah, yeah. I saw a clip of NFL quarterback Cam Newton. He has a podcast, and he was saying that we got to get back to basically back to gender roles. You got these women talking about their
Mhm.
boss chicks. But he's like, man, you can't cook though, and and you don't
Oh my.
and you don't and you don't know when to be quiet.
Yeah.
A lot of women were perturbed or offended by that. That he said, but you can't cook and you don't know when to be quiet. Now, they weren't so offended by the can't cook, right? But to be
Hmm.
quiet, know when to be quiet, that really ruffled some feathers. So, so much going on. What are we to do as a society, though, when it comes to this gender roles? Or should we not even worry about it? We just connect with who we connect with, who sees things the way we see them.
Mm. I don't know. That's a tough question because, like things have changed so much. I mean, you know, from what I can see, women have taken on a lot more masculine jobs and aspects, and in return, men have had to take on a lot more of the feminine, what used to be considered the role of a woman. So it's really hard to say. I mean, it almost looks like it's a one-way street, and there's no going back. I don't know. I don't know what
Right.
to say because um, it's just in the community I grew up in general, um, the women all, it was almost unheard of for a woman not to be able to cook and not to, always, just cook and clean and do her laundry and, keep the house. Nowadays, more and more of them have outside jobs simply because the farming communities have gone out. Give me just a second. I need to plug in my cord here. I'm not sure why it's not plugged in. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. Hey, folks, we waiting on things to come back. Just to plug in our power cable.
I apologize about that. I didn't realize I didn't have it plugged in until it started telling me it was dying. So I
No problem.
apologize. I got it.
No, no problem.
But yeah, you were saying, uh,
No, you were saying you were saying that it was unheard of in the community you grew up in for a woman not to cook, know how to
right.
cook.
I can't
Yeah,
think of one. I honestly can't think of one.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, but you have women now that saying they want a career. They can do anything a man could do.
mm-hmm.
So, man, where do we come together, men and women? How do we come together and balance that thing out? Uh, because I think the kids suffer. I mean, I guess if you don't have kids, it's not a big thing. I guess I don't know, but I'll tell you this, and I had this discussion with someone, and hey, anybody in the comments that disagree, let me know. But disagree with facts. Any woman I've come across, and I've come across a lot of women who have done some great things in the corporate world, in the business world, uh, done some great things, reached some high heights.
Right.
It takes a major toll on them.
Yeah.
It takes a major toll on their mental, their emotional well-being, and their physical well-being. Any woman I've personally have known, it takes a toll.
It does.
A- And women I've dated have later said after they reach these huge, these monumental heights in their career, they said if they could do it all over, they would have been a mom.
Right.
They
Mm-hmm.
just would have been a mom.
Yeah.
After they did all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They made all this money. They've accumulated the accolades, the awards, and then they say
Mm-hmm.
after all that, they wish they could have just been a mom.
Right.
So maybe gender roles are not dated.
No, no, I don't think they are. I think that it's always, by nature, there's always going to be certain things that that fit us better. There are certain things that fit you better to do, and there's certain things that fit me better to do,
Right.
um, but I've seen the same thing. I have seen, cases where women, they want to go do this, they're going to nursing school, they're doing this, they're doing that, and all of a sudden they're old and they didn't have children, and then they get really, I've seen them get really upset, because now they feel like they lost out in life,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
But even with women who I've met that had children, but were
Hmm.
able still to reach these heights in their career, they felt like they should have been more of a mother.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
can you can I mean, and I've talked about this with several people. I think we discussed it the other day, but I believe that a woman can be a workaholic and overwork and not not give enough time to, what her, maybe her family or whatever. And it is really, really hard when you're a single mom and you have children solely, depending on you. It is really hard,
all right.
you know. And again, maybe it's just because, we're complicating things. We complicate everything today, it seems like. But do you think it's different? Do you think it's easier for a woman to overwork and put that out of balance than it is for a man? I'm just questioning, just because of those roles. If you look at the roles, is it more of a problem that a woman overworks and stresses herself out? And can a man handle that more than a woman can? Is my question.
Oh, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
A woman holds a lot of that stress on her shoulders.
Yeah. For real.
That's what I'm saying.
For real.
I enjoy massages, but I think women gotta have them in today's world.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I
It's a
do.
it's
I
a it's a
do.
yeah, it's a religion. A lot of times with women getting massages, and, because they're overworked, right?
Hmm.
Overstressed, and
Yeah.
so I definitely think men can handle that. I think we have the shoulders. We're just, I think, psychologically and physically built. That was how
Hmm.
we were designed to take on that.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't think a being uh, with you know slumping shoulders, with breasts, with soft skin, was meant to compete with the man. I just
I agree with you. I
I just
really
don't
do.
think that's how we were designed.
I agree.
Now you would have some women say, uh, other than uh, physically, we're equal, and I don't know. I don't agree with that. They would say we're equal, other than a man being stronger than a woman physically.
So what? Okay. So what? Oh, physically,
Yeah, other than a man being physically stronger than a woman, we're equal.
like equal in what way? Give me some explanation or some descriptions. Like, what are you talking about?
Emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, we're equal. But even if we take the physicality out of it, I don't think we problem solve the same way.
No, I would say it this way. I would say yes, we're equal, but we're totally different. And I don't know, the definition of the word equal. Maybe we should actually look it up and see what it means. But
Yeah,
you can be equal. I'm thinking of equal more in, your capabilities to pull together, your capabilities to work together. You're as different as night and day, literally.
right. We have equal value, but we're not the same. We're not
No,
equal in the
exactly.
terms of the same. Yes, but we both have equal value.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, and we're
yeah,
we're we're equally good in the position we're supposed to be in, right? I
right,
mean, you know,
right, right,
you're equally good in the male role, and I'm equally good in the female role. But it's not the same at all. But I wouldn't say it's not equal in the sense that of the meaning I think equal actually means. But I know what you're saying too. It's not. I
right.
don't know.
Because even in problem solving, I guess you would consider it intellect. I'm going to address something differently than a woman, and a woman's going to approach it differently than me.
Right.
And maybe it needs to it come from a masculine standpoint. Maybe it needs to come from a feminine standpoint. Just the way our brains work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, and I think when it comes to that, um, we both have aspects that can help the other one tremendously with problem solving and things like that. Because again, like you said, it comes from a totally different place. I mean, if you see research on how the brain works, a feminine brain versus a masculine, it is so totally different. It's not even hardly comparable. But I can see the beauty in that. You know, they can bring their pieces to the table, and the decision that's going to be made is going to be stronger for it, rather than if just one or the other is trying to make that decision without the
right.
support of the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Because the woman looks more from a visionary standpoint, but the man looks more from the analytical standpoint of, you know, immediate or analytical. But the woman, is more the vision. I mean, it depends. It probably depends on, you know, the
I don't
personalities.
know. I, I,
The
I
stuff.
look at things. I typically look at things from a 360 view. I'm
Hmm.
looking at things like 3, 4 plays down.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah,
too. So maybe
the
that's
pros
not,
and cons.
maybe that's more personality than masculine or feminine. I think everybody looks,
Right.
I look at, okay, down the road, like, all these
Right.
years, how is this going to turn out? And you think about all those things rather than just right now.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes people that I'm working with think it takes me forever to make a decision because I'm looking at it from every angle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, that may be that's probably a lot of it personality or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I usually I don't get caught up in instant gratification. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm always thinking about the pros and the cons of it and how it
Hmm.
will affect me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
exactly.
true. Now this wasn't something that was on the topic list I sent you, but I want to get into this. I met a gentleman. Was that yesterday? No, that was 2 days ago. Sunday. Yesterday was Sunday, right? Yeah. 2 days ago was Sunday, I think. But I met this gentleman. I was out on a patio, smoking a cigar, do what I do, and he just sat down. He was walking around the neighborhood, and he sat down on this patio of this establishment, sat at the table with me, and we just started talking. Introduced himself. I introduced myself. We started talking, and this guy was older. He said he was 68, and he's done some great things. Some great things. He actually, I got to bring this up to Soul. He actually wants to come on to the Power Circle and just visit and speak. But this guy has done some great things in his life.
Hmm.
Has stories on top of stories, man. Some wild stuff. Some great things. But he said two things he's passionate about is teaching young kids tennis. So he still does that. He coaches in tennis. They call him Coach Moore. He coaches tennis, private lessons, and the health of our nation.
Hmm.
He said, "We're a fat country. We are an unhealthy country, and
Hmm.
obesity is just killing us."
Yeah.
Um, and he told me about this book. I think it's called Sugar Busters. He said it's a great
Okay.
book, and he said people who have followed this concept in this book have gotten off insulin. Their health has increased about 60%. Now, I mentioned instant gratification, and that's the thing with us in America. That instant gratification, man, it's
Hmm.
killing us. It's
Hmm.
killing us with the food, and that's what we're focused on. It's killing us with the food, um, with the internet, sex, um, money, the attainment of money, the attainment of wealth. It's killing us.
Yeah.
Not not understanding that don't go for the instant gratification. Go for the delayed gratification. There's is greater later.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing we got to start teaching children at a young age. That it's greater later. Uh, build up your kingdom.
Hmm.
Build the foundation. Build up your kingdom, and then everything will come your way. You'll attract
Hmm.
everything you need. But there's a process. There's steps
Yeah.
to this, and we can't skip the steps and think we're going to get healthy results. And so that's the thing with obesity. That's the thing with our health, not being able to delay gratification. You know, I believe you're a vegan, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the world should be vegan, right? But what are some steps we can take to start getting our kids turned around as far as the health as a
Oh man,
society?
I can go back to when years ago when I was really sick, and man, I was not disciplined in the way I ate. It was horrible. When I look back, I'm just like, man, I just had no self discipline. And to and for me, it's like when I decided to do, when I decided to change it, it was like cold turkey everything. I mean, literally get everything out of the house.
Right.
So I had, let's see, I had 5 children at the time. And so all of a sudden, we're changing. I mean, we're changing everything they're used to having, right?
Right.
So basically, what I did to implement that change, and I actually, at the time, published a children's cookbook. And what I found was that if I would create some really simple little recipes and I would have the children make it themselves, it tasted really good then. There's
Mm.
some psychological thing about when you have a child cook for themselves and you praise them, they did such a good job. It tastes marvelous to them, whatever they make. But if mom makes it, ew.
Yeah.
So that's
It-
the number one trick I found with my own children and others. I've done this with others because I used to travel around, the country and put on cooking classes and different things like that. And I love the children. I love the children. So
right.
I would, come upon these children. They'd be like, "Ooh, oh no, it's all I eat is cereal," or "Hey." And so I would get them enthused or get them excited and challenge. Okay, so I'm thinking about this 9-year-old boy in Chicago. I was at his parents' place for a while, teaching them some hands-on, how to cook healthier and different things like that. This little boy was tough. He's like, "No, no, I don't want that. I don't want." He wouldn't even try anything. And one day his mom had to run to the store and he's in there, I don't remember what. He came out to get a drink of water. He just sits on his gaming thing all the time. He's not. And I'm just like, man, this little boy, I can tell he's a smart little boy, but he's just throwing everything away. He was obese. I mean, I'm like, oh my goodness, this poor child. So I can't remember how I started the conversation, but I challenged him to a like a little cooking contest. Oh, I can't do that. I'm like, really? Well, my son, he does this and this and this, and he perked up a little bit, and because my son was the same age.
Mhm.
And so he's like, really? And I'm like, you know what? I bet if you made this and you gave it to your mom when she came home, she would just freak out. And he's like, really? Oh, so now right there, he wanted something. He was feeling like he wasn't getting any really attention from his parents because they were really busy. They had their own business and they were pretty much workaholics day and night. I mean, and so that is what you have to find,
Right.
what it is that they're not getting, and help try to fill that need. So right away, as soon as I seen that, I knew he feels like he's not getting enough from his parents. He sits in his room all day, plays games, and there's no interaction. So he literally came out to the kitchen and I showed him this really simple recipe and he got excited and he made it and he even added his own little flair to it. Put it in the refrigerator and his mom comes home. He's like, "Hey mom, I made this." She goes, "You what?" And then this little boy is just like unfolding with joy. So he gives her his little offering, or it was a little truffle, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, you really made this?" Because it was really good. And
Wow.
just to see, that was really exciting to me to see. And he unfolded after that. He came and started talking to me, and his dad, his real dad, had gotten killed
Wow.
And he, talked to me about that and opened up, and it was like, man,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we can actually really connect with people through food. We can heal
Oh
people with
yeah.
food. But
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is a lot of these churches, a lot of this, like the man you were talking to was saying, we're so unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And he was
you know,
68, and
and
this guy was in tip top shape. Yeah, he was in tip top shape.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can be. It's just that, we're putting the wrong things in our bodies. And everyone knows it. They just,
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
But
No
but
doubt.
for myself, now that was for children, but for myself to break that, I actually had to start, fasting. Fasting is for me, it's the
Mhm.
fastest way to get self control back when you've lost it over food. And you can start with, intermittent fasting. Um, you know, eat your dinner at 6 in the evening, or finish eating at 6 in the evening, and then eat at noon the next day. That's an 18-hour. I mean, that gives you at least four solid hours of fat burning in that time. It takes a long time to get to that stage, but if you do the 18, and that's not hard. It's just like you have dinner the next night and all you do is skip breakfast. You just drink. You can drink your teas and whatever, but that's not
Right.
hard. People can do that.
Right. It's not hard. We can do
It's
that.
very easy.
But yeah.
And I'm
But yeah.
telling you, I mean, your body, literally starts reversing its aging by putting out human growth hormones, balancing the blood sugar, destroying damaged cells in the body, everything. It's just phenomenal. So for me,
Yeah.
that was the way. And if there's anything, that anything, whether it's, um, too much screen time, too much work time, whatever, I'm finding that the way to get back in balance of it is to just cut it off for a while. Cut it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't do everything correct. I would say. And sometimes I say you got to pick your poison. So I smoke cigars, and I will drink alcohol, here and there. But cigars, I really appreciate cigars. I love fine cigars. But I drink a lot of water. I love water. Always
Hmm.
have since a kid. I love vegetables. I don't really eat a lot of fried foods or at all. Really, it's rare.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't do a lot of breads, if at all. If I do, it's whole wheat. But I don't do a lot of bread. I don't drink sodas at all. So you got to pick your poison. I think you can't do everything bad and expect not to have any issues with your body. It's just impossible. I just had a colonoscopy a few months ago, and everything. I'm at that age, right? Nothing was going on. I'm just at that age, and everything was good. Uh, I've I've never really had any issues. So yeah, yeah, and breathe through your nose. Yeah, you gotta look that up. I won't go into that too deeply,
Yeah, I
but we
know what
got to
you're
start
talking.
closing. Yeah, we got to start closing our mouths and breathe
Yeah.
through our nose. Control your breathing. It helps.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Getting the oxygen, and a lot of people are oxygen deficient because they're not breathing properly.
Yes. And you would think
Hmm.
you're taking in more oxygen because your mouth is open because it's a bigger orifice, right? But
Right,
that's
but it's
because
going so shallow because of
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm telling you that breathing really helps. Yeah, yeah. So we
Hmm.
got to work on
And
that.
that's one thing, back to what we were talking about before, women having to carry stress on their shoulders from, jobs and stuff like that. That's something that I personally notice when I start having such a load that and it's just like I don't have anybody that can assist with it or whatever. I'm finding the biggest thing is that shallow breathing, that shallow, because you're so stressed. And then it all, like you said, it all builds up in the, upper shoulders because you're shallow breathing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
That's
serious.
that. Yeah,
That
breathing.
breathing is very serious. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It
yeah. We don't
is.
pay attention. We don't pay enough attention to the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that breathing is serious, and it's crazy. We don't because we all need food, we need water, um, we need those things, right? We can go sometime without water. We can go sometime without food. We can't go without air, without
Air.
breathing.
Yeah.
But we don't give it the attention we need to give it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you guys out there, control your breathing, breathe through your nose, pay attention to your breathing. It'll change your life. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing too, another tip that has helped me, because when I was sick and stuff like that, I had a lot of oxygen deficiency. The blood wasn't carrying the oxygen properly or whatever. There's a product that I found. It's called Chloroxygen. You can just buy it pretty much any health food store or Amazon or whatever. That stuff is incredible. It literally will raise oxygen points in your blood in minutes.
Wow. Wow. I gotta check that
I've
out.
seen
You
it
said
save. I've
core
seen it
oxygen?
save, yeah, Chloroxygen. Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen it save people's lives. And I've seen, I work with people. People call me from, different places all over on health issues, but especially people that have a smoking habit. It's critical because the little, air pockets in the lungs are stiff and they're hard when they're smoking. That's what it does. The number one thing, it stiffens them. So it causes the oxygen to not be able to flow through the body properly. But when they start taking chloroxygen, their oxygen levels, their energy levels, everything just, I mean, people with asthma too. Oh my goodness, you should see the difference. And once they start, they're like, I'm never going to be a day without this. I just can't, so that's a tip too, to kind of get people over the hump and start getting more oxygen in the body. you know um
Yeah.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something to
No
use. I
doubt.
use it every single day. I don't rarely miss a day.
Core oxygen. I gotta check that
Hmm.
out. Yeah, definitely gotta check that out. So yeah, that's all I have for today. You got anything you want to touch on? We're an hour in.
Yeah, I think well, you had something here. You talked about evolution or ancestors. What was that? What were
Yeah,
you
we
on?
yeah we kind of touched on that when we're talking about gender roles and compatibility.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
Okay, I
kind of
see what you're
yeah we
saying.
did kind of touch on that. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, the ancestors and yeah, I just think I don't know if we can reverse it. Technology has advanced so much, and there's so much out there. So I don't know if we can get back to the basics
Yeah,
to
it's
to
like you
focus
said
on.
in the beginning, we become a different species, or it seems like we're a new species.
Yeah,
you know,
it seems. Do you think we're going into being another species?
like a species called AI.
How, hey, you make a good point.
I mean, that's creepy. I don't want to be an artificial intelligence, but I mean, you hear people predicting that and saying that we're moving into AI, and there's going to be some people that actually follow that path and become such a automated by everything that, and there's going to be some that go the other way. I personally don't want to have anything to do with being the AI
Right,
group.
right, right.
I don't
So
know.
yeah,
It just seems a little creepy. You know what I mean? It seems.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting times.
I don't know.
Yeah, so say we'll see. All right, we have no
Hmm.
choice.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we covered money. Uh, money is energy.
Hmm.
Whatever you tell it, however you treat it, that's how it's going to treat you. And so we got to have a healthy relationship with money. We covered compatibility. Yeah, I don't think we cracked the code on that. Like how do you find someone who's compatible with you or you're compatible with if that person is not honest or if that person has not found out who they are.
Hmm.
So you're connected with someone under false pretense who you thought you were compatible with.
Hmm.
But then when the truth is revealed or when they find themselves or you find yourself, you find out no, we're not compatible. Yeah, the kicker to that though is uh, most likely kids are created. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole different
Yeah.
element to it. So yeah, and then we touched on gender roles. Are gender roles dated? Am I a dinosaur? But like I said, the women I was been involved with in the past, who had done some great things in the business world, in the corporate world. uh, it took a toll on them mentally and physically. It took a toll,
Yeah.
big time.
It's painful. I can
It,
speak from experience. It's painful. It really
yeah,
is.
and later in life, where they had kids and didn't have kids, they all said if they could do it over, they would, take it easy and raise kids
Mm-hmm.
and support their guy.
Yep.
After they accomplished all these things, they came back and said, "Man, it wasn't worth it. The toll
Right.
it took on them. Yeah, the toll."
Yeah. I
I'm just
agree.
stating what I've come across.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And so the ancestors. So did the ancestors have it right, or has evolution done us a disservice? We've evolved into these superhumans. We've done some great things. We're intellectually superior to any other human species before us, I believe. Uh, but that brings complication because there's so much out there to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And so things that previous human species didn't worry about, we're concerned about. Love language, right? Flowers, uh, dates, trips.
I was going to ask you, how do you think dating, let's just say, when your parents were dating, how do you think it compared to how it is now? I mean, like, how did they determine whether they were compatible with someone back then?
That's a good question. I don't think it's changed much.
Mm-hmm.
I think with this species, well, I don't say this species. We'll say the last. I don't know, man. Maybe it may be forever. Maybe since this species has had arrived, or I would say maybe the last 7 6 7 decades.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Um, is the woman appealing to the man aesthetically? Uh, does she do it for him? Uh, how nurturing is she? And the woman, what can he do for her? And don't take that as a bad thing. We're talking about, can he provide? Can he protect? Can he teach her something? Or she respects him?
Mm-hmm.
That's I think that's what it's been for each generation.
Hmm.
When has it not been about that in this species?
Right.
Now we know previous species is different, right? But we're talking about this advanced species we are right now. When has it not been about that? What the
And
man can
but
provide.
right, right. But the things, all the technology they have and stuff. I mean, so you can go out here and you can find a girl that you think is, oh, she's beautiful, but then you find out it's all fake. It's not even her anyway. So
Yeah,
it's like, what?
yeah, that's something they didn't have to worry about
It
back
might be
then, right?
plastic. You might
Right,
you might be dating plastic.
right, right.
I'm like, what in the world?
And some guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Some guys don't mind. Or it could be plastic, could be silicone, right? And some guys don't mind. So it's
Yeah.
a different game. Hey, and it could be a man,
Right.
or
Oh my
once was
goodness.
a man. Yeah, it's a whole different ball game now. But that's what I said. Yes, we're intellectually advanced than other species before us. But that brings a lot of complication and confusion
Yeah.
also, because so much
Hmm.
is in our reach. You know,
Right.
like you can a woman can be doing pretty badly financially,
Hmm.
and with a good income tax return, go get some plastic surgery. Like, yeah, I mean everything's at our disposal,
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
and it complicates things though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we cracked that nut on that. I don't think we cracked the code. Are
Yeah,
we
I don't know.
doomed? Are we
I
do-
mean,
Are we
yeah, I
doomed?
don't know.
You think we doomed?
Mm. I mean, no, there's always a way out. There's always a way. It's just kind of we. It feels like we're kind of lost right now. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we're a little bit lost. We have to try to find a path, or even, okay, if we're not following that old path, then where's the path? What are we gonna do? I mean,
Right.
you know, I mean, if you look at relationships, at least here, it's not working. The pattern that whatever it is that we have today does not seem to be working. Do you
Right.
agree with that? I mean, in general, it's just not working. So there's got to be something. There's got to be change. You can't keep going on
Yeah.
like this all the time.
I think we go back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to work. And we got to go back to the basics.
I agree.
But now, I know people say I'm dated, but women want to do their thing so much. And social media gives them that platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be seen, to get the attention.
Mm.
And so that's the number one thing women want: attention,
Hmm.
companionship, attention, touch, gifts. So
Interesting.
social media provides that a lot of times too.
Hmm.
You know,
They
Yeah.
they're letting the voice be heard. Is that what it is?
Is it their voice?
That's what I was wondering. I don't know.
Is it their voice?
I don't know. It might depend. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of women are letting their voice being heard, their audible voice, and saying
No,
something.
no, that's not what I meant. I meant
Yeah,
that in more of a, um, that was just a way of saying it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a way to get attention. You know, but you got a pool of men also. I wouldn't say a pool, maybe a lot of men. Some would argue a lot of men, a huge pool of men who crave for attention also on social media.
Well, I think that's a human thing. I mean, I've heard before. There's three key things that all humans need and crave, and that's attention, affection, and acceptance. That's just human. It's not male or female.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think
Mm.
most men. I don't think most men. Well, the men I connect with, I just don't. I don't think we have to be a part uh, of a tribe.
So if you got zero attention from anybody, nobody paid any attention to anything you said, your voice wouldn't be heard. It's a different type of attention, but men have to be able to have their voice heard. And to that's okay. So for example, let's just say your child
Mm,
is misbehaving, and you say you better stop that, and they don't pay
mm.
any attention to you, and you just keep on and on. I mean, it's the same scenario. You got to
Yeah,
have attention.
that's not the same scenario.
Mm.
The attention one is to bring structure, to bring order, to your child, and the other one is a selfish attention. It's self gratification.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's self gratification. No one gets anything from it. It's all about you. It's like masturbation. It's selfish. No one gets anything from a certain type of attention. Like, for instance, a girl posing on IG and half naked. That's
Hmm.
attention. But who benefit? Like, who? I guess you could say other guys are benefiting from it. I guess, right? But what is it rooted in? She's
Mm.
not
Okay.
doing. She's not doing that to say, "Let me go help. Let me go help guys out there."
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But
Yeah,
still, every human from babyhood needs attention. I mean, it's just that's not that kind of attention, but we
yeah.
do need to have attention from our culture. I mean, a baby. A baby is the purest form of us.
Hmm.
And if a baby is neglected, they die. If they're not
Right,
shown attention, they will literally die. Now that's us in our purest form. So that's not going to change just because we become adults. We still need attention in
right.
some shape or form. And I believe, the men have kind of drawn back. Why? I don't know. I mean, it's all about the dynamics being, I think, unbalanced. But used to be, the men would, speak out. They were in more, leadership positions, and they would speak out, but people paid attention. A lot of times now, what I've noticed is a lot of men feel like their voice isn't heard at all. They can say this and say that, and the women will just not listen. They don't listen to them. They tear them down. And that's the kind of attention I think that the masculine needs and deserves. The feminine attention is probably a little different. I don't know. I can't really say exactly or explain exactly what it would be, but
Well, I think,
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't say arbitrarily men don't want to need attention, but what I'm basically saying is it a healthy dosage?
Mm-hmm.
What's healthy? What's unhealthy? I don't
Mm-hmm.
think most men are willing to do unhealthy things for attention, though. Yeah, we all need attention, and even with babies, every baby's not the same. We know when a baby needs an unhealthy amount of attention. We'll say, man, yeah, you've been picking that baby up too much. At some point, the baby has to be independent and be able to play with itself,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And where
Entertain
you like
itself.
where entertain itself, like you can't
Yeah.
even take a restroom break. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah.
yeah,
And
I've seen that.
some of these young parents now, like in their 20s, they think that, oh, they're just terrible if they don't give them attention. And they say that I've heard them literally say, that's the problem with you guys in your generation, is you didn't get enough attention. That's the whole problem. I've heard
Right.
this is what's going around in the early 20s, these parents. That's what they're saying today. So,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
so there may be a new species here, because it's sure different. I mean,
So you bring up an interesting topic, right? So do men? I think men want the approval of other men. We want the approval of other men to say that we want to be respected by men.
that's what I was going to say. The attention that men need is respect.
Yeah, we want to be respected by men though. Uh,
Right, right, yeah, right. I hear you.
but I think women want the attention of men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think y'all think about respect necessarily.
No.
Yeah, in a relationship, of course, you want respect, but I'm just saying, typically, you don't think about I want the respect of men.
Right.
I think you just think I want the attention of men. Even if you're
Well,
not interested, it's
right, right.
flattering that someone is attracted to you.
Well, it's that, but it's also supporting. I'm just saying. So, for example, I've raised boys and girls, and I noticed this so drastically. The boys are always competing with each other to earn respect
Right.
from the other brothers, but the girls, the thing that they're always trying to do is earn love. The girls want
Mm,
love, the boys want respect. So the
yep,
attention that the girls want is love. The attention that the boys want is respect from
yes.
what they consider their peers. That's what I see with my, raising all these children. That's how I see them interact, and it's
Yeah.
just hilarious sometimes.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I've spoken on this too before. Hey, shout out to my boy Soul. He just checked in. Yeah, man. Yeah, we mentioned you, Soul. I don't know if you heard us, but yeah, we mentioned you earlier. But I agree, and I've spoken on this and I think Soul speaks on this a lot too. Men want respect, women want love, and we talked about our ancestors, and we talked about different species. We're probably the 14th species, human species. Has that ever changed? Men want respect, women want love. So these whole gender role things and compatibility, do we got to go back to the basics? The man, can I love her? The woman, can I respect him?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the basics. Let's start
Yeah.
there, and then build on top of that
Yeah,
about
that's
these
that's
about these love languages.
that's a really valid point. That
Right.
really is a valid point when we even back up and talk about compatibility. compatibility is probably just what you said. You know, do I respect him? Are there things he does that, you know, that I'm just like, oh, or can I respect him? Or like you said, can I love her? Are there things that I just don't love? You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right. And I can speak for men. Like, a woman can love us, but man, if we're not into her, we're just not into her. Yeah, we just and your boys and
Mm-hmm.
your family may be like, man, that's a good girl. That's a good girl. But we just can't
Yeah.
love her. You know, it's an energy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just can't love her. And and sometimes years pass, 15, 20 years pass, and we may look back and it's like, man, you know, I should have took her more serious. Sometimes that happens, you know. But yeah, we got to be able to love her, you know. And we're seeing now. I don't want to beat this Will Smith thing down, but man, Jada said she did not want to marry Will. That she was crying on the way to the wedding.
What?
Yeah, she didn't want to get married. She was pregnant though.
Oh,
She was
okay.
pregnant. She didn't want to get married to him, and she never saw herself being married. Yeah, we got a lot of static. But
Wow.
yeah, you got
That's
static back
crazy.
there, Phoenix. Phoenix, do you have static?
I don't hear
Okay,
anything.
okay.
No,
But
it's clear to me.
okay. But yeah. So from right there, right. She said she didn't want to get married. There's no respect.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Yeah.
respect off the bat. Like, there's no respect. And so when
Mm-hmm.
there's no respect, anything can go down. Anything can go down. You know what I'm saying?
And vice versa. I mean, yeah.
Well, we see it
Yeah,
in the
the other way
different
around
ways,
too.
right?
And why would
Well, we see it in different
uh-huh.
ways. We have to love you. So if I know they're kind of the same, but there's a perspective that's slightly different on how we see things, right? Love and respect, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
they're cousins, right? They're close cousins. But
Yeah.
just how we view things as men, you know. So if we love you, we're not going to do certain things. But a
Okay.
woman, a, like, can you love someone but not respect them? Can you respect someone but not love them?
Hmm. Well, you know, you're talking about, so I've seen places where parents are abusive and their children respect them, but it's a fear because they're abusive. That's not that's not a healthy respect. I think there's an unhealthy respect as
Well, that's
well.
different. Well, that's different. That parent-child
Right?
connection, that's a big different. I don't want to go there because a mother can abuse a child, and the child still has a connection with that mother. And the state wants to take that child out the house, and the child still
Yeah.
wants to go back to that mother. That's a whole different dynamic.
Hmm.
But I'm just talking about with the man and the woman relationship. Uh,
I mean,
you
I've
don't have
seen
that.
that as well. I've seen abuse. I've seen a lot of abuse where, but you know, the woman is afraid of him. She has that fearful respect, but there is abuse. I've seen plenty of that.
So do you believe men can abuse women, physically abuse or emotionally, mentally abuse women, but love them? Do you believe they can stalk women but love them?
Hmm. That seems like a little weird kind of love to me. That's
I'm just
I
asking.
mean,
These men
what?
these men would say they love these women though. And
Really?
I know women that have disrespected men in public, in front of people, in front of their friends, in front of their family. But you can't tell these women they don't love that man. They would cuss you out. They were like, "Of course I love my man,"
Hmm.
but they'll be disrespectful. I think Jada would tell you she loves Will,
Mm-hmm.
but I also she's been honest. I think she would say I don't respect him,
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind
and
of
she
obvious.
yeah she probably would even say I don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. Yeah,
I don't know.
but yeah, I think we got to get back to the basics though. The man being able to love the woman, and the woman being able to respect the man. Uh, because right
Yeah.
now there's just too much going on. You got the social media. You got people putting this stuff in your love languages. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you need roses.
Right.
You got to go to Dubai. You know, you got all this stuff going on, right? But the foundation is weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Our parents didn't think about going to Dubai. Man, I remember when I was a kid, my mom and my grandmother took a
Right.
trip to they took a trip to Jamaica and they took a trip to the Bahamas. That was all they were really doing back then, I think. But now the world, I mean, it's so big. It's the same world, right? But now we have access to do so
Mhm.
much,
Yeah.
and things are getting cheaper to do. So
I don't know.
yeah,
All those things, like you said, all those things make it more and more complicated. So I don't know.
yeah, we gotta simplify it. I think that's what we gotta do.
Yeah.
We gotta simplify it. Yeah, but we only can control us, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
and impact our children. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think we might have to hit rock bottom as a people to remember what it's all about. Yeah,
And what would you say that looks like? I know we've talked about that, getting back to the basics, hitting rock bottom. What would that look like to you?
I mentioned this on Soul's platform before. Uh, man, if there was a catastrophe to where you know the planet was just a disarray, and we had to go back to our true essence,
Mm-hmm.
men being men and women being women, uh, and we had to focus on leadership, fellowship, and fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
Things would get correct very quickly.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't hear anything about this. We're equal. We're out here in the wilderness trying to survive.
Trying to survive, getting back to survival. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But see, women feel like they don't need a man because, let's be honest, of things men created to make your life more pleasant.
Mm.
I'm just, I'm just saying. But let's take all that away. Let's take technology away.
Yeah.
Strip it down. You're gonna be looking at me to be a man, and we ain't gonna have any struggles about who's leading.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. You're gonna be telling me, hey, I think there's a saber-tooth tiger over there. You want to handle that? I'm like, no, no,
Hey.
we're equals.
No.
No, 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 no. We're equals. Hey, you're on duty. You're on duty right now.
Man,
Right.
I'm bad enough. I'm bad enough that when I was married, I'd be like, I heard a mouse, and I'd be on the. I would not go on. I'm like, go get the mouse, not even a tiger. Oh my goodness.
I'm just
Oh
saying,
my
like,
goodness. But yeah,
I'm saying, men have made it. Listen. You probably don't even think about this, right? You're able to walk. You're able to walk down the street and not worry about being jumped, being raped, being attacked, uh, because it's not even on your conscious mind. But if it's a crowd of people and there's a bunch of men, you're not worried about anything happening to you because I think subconsciously, there are men that are going to handle their business. There are men that are going to jump in and protect the stranger, the stranger of a female. You
hmm.
don't even think about it though.
Well, I do. I mean, the first time I went to a big city, I got robbed. So yeah, I think about it now because I didn't know then. I was just so naive. You just don't get robbed in the country,
Right, right. But
man.
yeah,
So I think
like I was
about it.
telling you, yeah, but like I was telling you the other day, Yaya was out, she and I were out having lunch, and I
Yeah.
was just looking. Yeah, I told you, I was like, hey, you feel comfortable right now? You feel good? You worried about anything? She's like, no. I said, do you know as a man, I have to be ready to be on go. Like I know we're
Yeah.
in a good neighborhood. I said, but you just never know. I said, right now I'm enjoying you. I'm laughing, we're smiling. But I gotta be able to flip that switch at any given moment to turn it to
Hmm.
something else to protect.
Yeah.
And here she is. She's not having a worry in the world. She's not even thinking
Right.
about any of that. But I'm
Yeah.
watching. I'm
If
watching
she's with
everything
you, but
around me.
right. But if she wasn't with you and she had been robbed, she might not feel the same. You know what I mean? I mean, after that, it was like I made sure somebody went with me, and I was like, and then it was well, I was staying with a family where the little boy I was talking about earlier teaching to cook, and
Mm,
so next I had to go to the grocery store. The dad, he's like, "Hey, you're not going by yourself." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "No."
right.
And I said, okay, I didn't even think about it, but then, after that experience, I was like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. I don't know. But, then later he told me, he was just kind of watching. He wasn't, going with me wherever. He was just watching. And he told me that he's seen a couple people, come up on me. They could tell right away I was not from around there. They could tell, that I was not a city girl, and they were he said there was a guy that was coming up behind me, and he said he was gonna take your purse. He said I could see it, and he said I just came up and I gave him that look, and he said he's like, oh, because he didn't know anyone was with me. So
See,
it's kind of like I've
see,
had to learn that.
you see what I'm talking about?
I do.
But I'm telling you, men know. The predatorial men
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
They know there's a chance there are men or a man's gonna step in. I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Hmm.
They're not worried about the women. They're worried about the
Yeah.
men stepping in. And so, it is what it is. But we got to get back to the basics and respect each other's essence.
Yeah,
And
I
and
agree.
men need to respect what women bring to the table too. You know, uh, I think you spoke on this before. Yes, we bring order, we bring focus, we bring discipline, right? A plan, but none of that's any really enjoyable without some color to it, without some femininity to it. You know,
Hmm.
it just is not. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
And on the other hand, the femininity isn't enjoyable without some stability,
Exactly. Exactly.
because literally the energy can come through you like a flood. Just I mean, information downloads, just tons of stuff, and
Yeah.
you can't really do anything with it unless you have a grounding point is what I call it. Or some people call it a container, or some people, whatever. But we need that stability to even be able to get a hold of that thing and do anything with it.
No
That's
doubt,
what I
no
find
doubt,
personally.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I know we make it black and white, right? Order, and then the femininity brings life. It's
Hmm.
just so black and white. But we can have something that's ordered. We take a food that's good for us, nutritious, but great, right? But it tastes great,
Hmm.
but it's nutritious. A whole solid food, right? But we can take the other side too. We take a fruit that's healthy for us. Take the woman, you know. But let's say it could be a nice fruit, So it doesn't have to be bland. It doesn't have to be so black and white, You can
Oh, I
find
see.
enjoy. Yeah, you can find enjoyment in order,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And you can
Yeah.
find some structure. Yeah, you can find some structure in femininity. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's
Right.
not so black and
Well, I
white.
mean, we all have both in us. We all have masculine and feminine. I mean, if you look at the chakras, like we talked about, every other one in the body is masculine and feminine. Every other one. So we all have that. And I've wondered a lot of times. I don't know, that was a very interesting discussion to me, because it clarified a lot of things as to, if we all have those same chakras, why do we have different aspects. But like what you shared, and how that in the masculine, one is positive and the other one's negative, that's a real interesting point. And
Right.
that actually clarifies a lot of questions that I had over the years, just thinking about it and wondering, why is the balance this way, or why is it opposite when we have the same chakras. But it's because the polarity of them is flipped. It's.
Yeah, the polarity is flipped, but something that's left out of that also is estrogen and testosterone,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
That's,
there you go. That's the
yeah,
gray area.
that's really. mm,
Yeah, that's the
yeah.
gray area.
And those hormones are so fragile. They're so easy, especially in this day and age, to throw out of whack. I mean, there's so many hormone disruptors that disrupt both the estrogen and the testosterone. So you can actually literally see, um, the more aggressive a woman is, the higher her testosterone is, and the lower her actual progesterone and estrogen are. Always.
Right.
You can see a
Right.
man, these what people would say, men that are just kind of, sit back, not very forward, not very, move forward moving, and they always have low testosterone.
Yeah, and high estrogen levels.
Right.
And
And you know
and,
what?
and
There and again, I've had a lot of, over the years, a lot of people, men especially, that I've treated, that have that issue. And there's one thing, it's called DIM. It's a cabbage extract, and it literally will remove all the synthetic estrogens out of the body of both male and female, because the synthetic estrogens are everywhere, in the clothes and the water and anything plastic. You drink
right.
water out of plastic bottles, it's got estrogen. I mean, it's got synthetic estrogens, hormone disruptors.
I've heard
So,
that. In the
so,
toothpaste
so
also.
look up
Yeah.
DIM. Look up DIM. It's a cabbage extract,
Okay.
and it literally removes that really quickly. And then there's something called pine pollen extract that actually increases the testosterone, like huge. So you remove
Wow.
the synthetic estrogens out with DIM, you increase the testosterone with pine pollen extract. And that's huge. You can go on YouTube and see tons of videos of them talking and showing actually the levels before and after. It's incredible.
Well, I
Really
gotta check that
incredible.
out. I definitely check that out. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's so strange though. Yeah, you can see when a guy has high levels or high levels of estrogen or low levels of testosterone. You can see it in his body structure, his stance. You can see it in his face, his voice, and,
Hmm.
and we're not consciously saying this, right? And I don't think women are consciously saying this to themselves when they look at this type of man. But it
Hmm.
also dictates how they treat that man too. And if
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
a
wow.
natural, yeah, if it's a
You know,
natural attraction. And
Wow.
if a woman has high level of testosterone, a lot of men are repelled. Like, nah. And we're
Yeah.
not consciously saying, man, her testosterone is high.
Hmm.
We're not saying that, but we know something's off.
No.
It's a repellent. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That is a really good point. That is a really good point to bring into the mix because again, that can clarify a lot of things on some of these issues too. Um, there's never been a time where the synthetic estrogens are so rampant in everything. I mean, from what they spray on our food
Hmm.
to what we're wearing, these, polyesters and a polyester is literally a synthetic estrogen.
Right. Right.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, you about can't get it any straight cotton anymore. It's got some polyester.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just one of the aspects. Then look at all the plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So check this out, though. I want to get your take on this. I don't want to get off of this estrogen and testosterone levels off that topic so quickly. Okay. So back in the day, they had a thing called, I guess, classism, and people say we still practice it now. Uh, but it was more open back then, right? It wasn't hidden. So you take a guy who had high levels of estrogen and low levels of testosterone,
Hmm.
and he really couldn't compete with other boys and then men. He couldn't compete with the
Yeah.
roughhousing, with the wrestling. We're taking it back centuries ago, right? With the wrestling, the fighting. They knew at an early age he can't compete. He's not desirable as a husband in the future. So we will have a thing maybe called eunuchs, right? Well, this guy, he may be castrated. He doesn't need to procreate. But the cream of the crop, these guys over here, these boys, these who turn into men, these are the cream of the crop. Now they call them alphas now, right? These are the more desirable men for women, and these who they want to procreate with because they have the characteristics to procreate with. Do you think that's a weird concept, or you think we need to look into that?
No,
Hey,
that's
before I get
horrible.
into that, that's horrible. But
That's
we get
horrible.
into that. Hey, we're gonna touch on that. But Soul says, will marriage still be a thing in 30 years? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't say it's gonna be outright out of the picture, but I think it's
Well,
gonna
like
drop
define marriage. Like
tremendously.
like you mean state marriage? Like
Yeah, he's
where
talking
the
about state.
state's
He's
part of
talking about
it?
right. He's talking about
State
state
marriage?
marriage.
Oh,
Yes.
I think that's going down the, I mean, when people are learning what it is, no. I mean, as soon as people start researching and finding out what it is and how that you're literally selling, giving away, signing away everything that you have and everything that comes out of that union. No, I mean, without fail, I hear from lots and lots of people all the time, and they're like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think
We
it'll be
don't
a
want a
thing.
third party interloper. It's a third party interloper.
But
I,
I do think both people and the kids, the offspring, have to be protected. But what I would suggest, I know I'm part of the Power Circle. Bios and links in the bio. You guys check that out. But I'm also a part of a new group, BKF, Brothers Keeper Family, and we were talking about protecting ourselves and women feeling protected in a union, but not being married on paper through the state, right? So one brother said we need to look into trust, not wills, because wills can be challenged, and I've seen wills challenged, but we need to look into
absolutely.
trust. Yeah,
I
we need to
agree
look into the
100%.
trust. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that was a discussion this past weekend. The trust, not the will, but the trust.
That's
Because I've
very
seen
wise.
wills. Yeah, they don't uphold wills. They really don't.
Yep.
Yeah. But the trust, that's a whole different beast.
It is a whole different thing. I mean, that's where your protection is. That's why the elite families have them. That's what they operate under.
Yeah, yeah,
Why?
yeah,
It's the ultimate protection, and not any trust is. There's only specific certain types.
yeah. So yeah, I think marriage on the state level, as we know it, is going to be out of there. It's not beneficial to men in general, and only a small number of women are getting the short end of the stick in marriage. Mostly it's men. The courts are not on our side. Yes, are some women getting hosed? Yes, but majority is men. So yeah, it's not really beneficial. Uh,
Mm.
Man, that'll take you to the cleaners. So, and especially you talk about a state like Cali, man. Yeah, so you know, I think it's out of there. But
Yeah, I think so too.
as far as classism and certain men not being desirable,
I mean, okay, you say they're not desirable, but what caused the imbalance in the first place? There's an imbalance there. You have to go back and look at the whole foundation of things. I don't believe that there's anything like that that cannot be corrected. I've just seen from experience that you can correct any of those imbalances.
there's always a runt
Any,
in the pack.
I know, but the but the runt is the feistiest, and they're the but
You always got a
but
sickly dog.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
nevertheless, all that can be corrected.
See, that's that optimistic point of view. That's that feminine point of view. Everybody gets a trophy. No, no, or everybody doesn't get a trophy.
Well,
Better
the
next,
so the
better
thing is
luck
this.
next
Okay,
time,
so
huh?
just say I'm the what you're calling the runt or whatever. Just say that I'm born this way, and I'm just uh not okay. I don't know if you've ever heard of this woman named Tanya Javoska. She's a Asian woman. She's got like a YouTube channel, a company, whatever.
Mhm.
This woman was born with a hip deficiency. She was crippled, and she was told when she went to school, she was ridiculed so bad. She was told, "You are so ugly, you don't even deserve to live." Now, this woman decided to use that as a springboard and to envision, to manifest, to do whatever she could to heal her imbalance. Today, she is in her 60s and she is so beautiful. Everybody talks about her. You can look her up online, Tanya Javoska. She has a Beautiful on Raw, I think is her website. She went on, like the Dr. Sabi diet, but all raw food. She, just started doing, anti-aging, just reversing, doing a lot of meditating, intermittent fasting. She's big on that. Man, it's 60. And she tells that story still today. She writes quite a few books. She says, I just actually wanted to kill myself. She said, I almost killed myself because old, I was so ugly I didn't live. Okay. So anybody can pull themselves up from, the depths of whatever they're in, I believe. And some of us, I think, chose to come in that position as a challenge to our soul so we can pull ourselves up.
I
So
agree.
to just go and say to just go and knock these people off before they have a chance, no, no,
I didn't know. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
no.
I didn't say kill. I did not say take them out, knock them off.
Oh, well,
That's a
I
stretch.
know, but permanently damage them so they don't have a chance.
No, 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 no. Let's put it in context though. They have a chance, but something you said. She decided to do something. She
Right,
decided to fight.
exactly.
Right. So everybody
Hmm.
has an opportunity to fight. You know, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth.
Hmm.
I could make a bunch of excuses. You know what I'm saying? Soul's on here. Soul tells his story. Soul can make a bunch of excuses. You could. Everybody has an excuse. So, I'm not saying don't give people an opportunity to fight, but she decided to do that. Listen, going back to the Bible, and I'm not religious, but I do take from the Bible and the stories from the Bible. Daniel, Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel was a eunuch. Daniel wasn't even supposed to be, you know, near the priest or anything, touch anything holy. But because he had favor, because of Daniel's character and what he had overcome, they let Daniel be in the holiness, in the holy places, and touch certain things when he really wasn't supposed to. He was a eunuch. So that's an example there. People miss that. And people could do their own research on that. But people miss that. So yeah, you can come from the bottom and rise to the top. I'm all about that. I'm all about that. But everybody's not
Mhm.
gonna have that testicular fortitude. Everybody's not gonna have that fight in them.
Yeah.
So what do we do? What do we do? And I'm not saying this is definite, definitive. I'm just throwing out something out there, devil's advocate. I'm just throwing out devil's advocate. Because what happens is every woman's not fit to bear children. Every woman's not fit to be a mother. So now we got men that are not fit to be husbands. We got women not fit to be mothers, but then they procreate. And then we're making husbands, men husbands that are
Well,
not
I
husbands. We're
disagree
making
with that on some point because I believe if
you're cutting out on me.
I mean, I believe that if you have a child, I believe if you have a child, you're capable of raising that child. But again, you don't just lay down the oars in your boat and let it go backward. Sometimes having a child is what's going to motivate these people to change. But again, I mean,
I know
I don't
you're
know.
thinking optimistic. You're thinking optimistic, but we started out this session talking about the homeless people, and you
Mhm.
said you had a problem giving, and it handicaps them, and it could take their dignity. But now you're saying
Okay,
everybody should
so
have the
I'm
right.
not getting
But everybody should have. But you're saying everybody should have the right to procreate, right? Everybody should have the right to procreate.
well. It's like saying everybody should have a choice. Should I mean, would you like it if somebody took away your choice? No.
But
I mean,
I'm not them, no. But I'm just saying. But you can't have it both
the
ways,
thing is,
though. You can't say everybody should have the right to procreate, but then you say I really got a problem. You're like giving money to the homeless in the welfare system, the people that don't want to work. They're able to be on the welfare system because they have children. That's the only reason the government is taking care of these people because they have children. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them have children. But that's what we talked about also delayed gratification, discipline, self-discipline.
mm-hmm,
That's not
right.
taught. That's not taught enough. Just because I'm able to make a child, just because I have the right to make a child, doesn't mean I'm ready to make a child.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So really what we should be focusing on is teaching people to self-discipline. I mean,
That's
and
what
I
it gets
talk about
down
that all
to.
the time. People being self-governing. People do, you know, where did
I
this
talk
go?
about it all the
We used
time.
to be,
That's
yeah, we used to be self-governing, but what happened? What was the tipping point that all of a sudden we get into this where nobody can seem to govern themselves? What happened? Was it a slow and gradual death? What was it? What actually took place that happened?
well, my take on it, my perspective is there's a lot of freedoms given, a lot of hand holding, and there was power taken away from the man. The government became the husband.
Right.
So
Yeah.
right. So at one time, a woman had to be very, very picky and selective and careful about who impregnated her. It used to be a rare thing for a woman to get pregnant unmarried. It was a rare thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
so rare, it might be the talk of the town,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
okay, so she had to be she had to be cognizant and she had to be responsible. She had to be disciplined because she knew, for one, I don't have any way to take care of this child. All right, it's not acceptable. Yeah, she was in a mess. But once that was removed, and the government said, "Don't worry about that. We got you. We got you." The woman could be
Mm,
more reckless.
mm,
Any woman in the U.S. that's having a kid,
hmm.
they don't have a worry about how that kid's gonna eat. Any unmarried woman having a kid, they
Really?
don't have a worry. Nah, they don't have a worry how where their kid's gonna live. You,
Oh
why would
wow.
you? You got government
I guess I
assistance.
wasn't aware of that.
No, I mean you got government assistance. You got welfare, and so what that does, that removes the man. That breaks up the family. Even any
Mm.
concept, or any thought of having a family, that breaks that up.
Well, one of these younger generations coming up, there's going to be there's a number of them that are not going to take that. They're not going to take it. I mean, I admire some of these, younger people coming up because they're starting to see some of that and they're starting to see where that's messed it up. It's kind of surprising to me, but there's quite a few of the ones I've met that are just like, absolutely not. We're not taking any kind of handouts. We're fending for ourselves. We can do it. We can this. We can that. And they're not going to take it. So,
Yeah, I guarantee
again,
you.
I think,
Yeah, I guarantee you. If welfare was removed and child support was removed, you would see a change. You would see a change. I would say 6 to 18 months. You would see a change in society.
yeah,
I guarantee you would.
yeah, totally.
Man, you take child support
Hmm.
off and you take welfare. Oh man, you will see a change.
Yeah,
All of a
yeah,
sudden,
that's true.
women have become more disciplined, more picky.
Well, but on the other hand, men would too, because there's men that don't step up and take care of their own children either. So both parties,
Right.
that might be that might be what'll end up happening. But both parties will have to take up, step up and take their own responsibilities and not depend on, some government to take over their responsibilities that they're supposed to have.
Well, the thing is, women decide if there's going to be sex. Other than that, it's rape. So, so women decide. Women control that. So it's up to her to vet the guy. It's up to
Wow.
her to vet the guy. We have no control over that. It's not going down unless the woman says it's going down. The man can say it's going down all he wants. It's still not going down unless the woman says it's going down. And if the woman says it's going down, 90% of the time it's going to go down because the man is all game. Right? But the man
So you're saying
controls.
it's all on the woman, huh? Sounds kind of like
I'm not
Adam.
saying it. I'm not saying it. No, 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 no. I'm not saying it's all on the woman. But you're the receiver. You're the receiver though.
Okay.
But no, you're the receiver though. So you have to submit any for that to go down, right? I mean, I'm just saying you would have to submit for that to go down. Other than that is RAPE. And so she's in total control of that.
Mm.
But the guy needs to be vetted. He needs to show that he's worthy of that.
Interesting.
And then the man is not all on her. Before he gets with her in that way, she needs to show that she's worthy to be his mate. She's worthy to be a mother. Yeah, it's accountability from both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's accountability, and a lot of people don't. They don't like accountability or responsibility. They don't like any of those. So
Because it requires discipline.
exactly, exactly.
Man, that's the most challenging thing uh, to master or to adhere to. I mean, if we want anything in life, is delayed gratification, aka discipline.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah.
Yeah, with
Definitely.
everything, with sex, food, uh, wealth,
Mm-hmm.
anything. It requires delayed gratification and discipline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Hmm.
So, is there hope?
Well, you keep saying I'm optimistic. Of course, there's hope. I mean, that's just how I feel. I actually am more hopeful than I've been in years, just because I see maybe other sides of things, but I'm seeing changes in people that I never would have dreamed would have ever made changes. Older people that you thought, they were really set in their ways, and next thing you know, they've made some changes that, like seriously made changes that take self-discipline to do, and you're just like, wow,
Yeah,
I've been amazed. I've really been amazed.
yeah, yeah. But you spoke on that rock bottom. I think we're headed to rock bottom. Soul brings up a good question about the marriage. I think that's going to be a part of the rock bottom where people are just not getting married. That's part of it. And then you're going to get to a point, and this is already starting, uh, where men are not wanting to have kids.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's all part of the process for us to get back to the basics.
So why don't they want to have children?
I think you know the answer to that. No, men are getting beat up
No,
in
I
court.
don't, because
They're,
I mean,
they're getting beat
like,
up in court.
oh,
Yeah, they're
oh,
getting
I
beat up in
see.
court.
Because I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, yeah, they're getting beat up in court. Family court.
wow,
A lot of men, they are deciding not to have kids. Yeah, they're deciding not to get
that's terrible,
married.
because like in the Bible, it says that children are as arrows in the hands of a mighty man, and that's like what's going to make him stronger. And I agree with that, but it's like, oh my goodness, again, I don't think of all those aspects all the time, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Um,
Yeah, yeah, but that's part of that's one scripture. But you got to find the right mate. You got to find the right
yeah.
mate, and you got to get the government out your business.
See, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing, is I believe,
Yeah,
is that
you got to
third
do that.
party. That third party is going to destroy something. How is something going to be sacred when there's a third party interloper?
Yeah, yeah, because the man has been undermined, and
Exactly. And in some of the religions, it's the same way. The one I grew up in, the church leaders were in the place that I believe, that I said that for years when I was in there. The
mm,
church leaders took the position that the man should have taken in the home, and the man was, put down here to where the woman was supposed to be, and the woman was in the place of a child. That's how that structure was actually set. And it really bothered me, because I would see men that they absolutely couldn't say anything. They couldn't take any kind of leadership, because it would go against, the church leaders.
right.
And so they could have no opinion, or else they would get excommunicated and all that kind of stuff. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I never could imagine or see myself have some man have authority over me and my family like that. And I was going to this church at one point. This is years ago. Man, this had to be maybe 18 years ago, 17, 18 years ago. And I noticed that men and married women, all women, but I'm pointing out married women and men, were calling the pastor dad. And this and this
Wow.
guy and this guy is around the same age as them. I was a young man. I was like, I was like early 20s. But these people, these assistant pastors and these deaconess and these deacons, they were all mid 30s, 40s, 50s, even older than that pastor, and they were calling him dad. Yeah, it threw me off, and that's where I was like, nah, I can't come here no more. Ain't no way in
Mhm.
hell I'm calling this
Mhm.
dude dad, and my woman ain't calling him dad either. It's
You
just a
know, I'm
wild
I'm
thing.
just I'm just thinking back to one experience, and it was with my uncle, my favorite uncle. His birthday was actually on the same day as yours is, but it made me so sad because this man had visions and dreams and goals that he had had for years. His dream was to move up to Montana and to have a ranch. He would get so animated and excited when he'd talk about it.
Mm.
He was stuck farming, which he hated, but he was working toward his goal. The church leaders finally called him down and said, "You know what? You're just going to have to give that up. You're going to have to submit your." It was so aggravating. They'd say, "You have to submit your light to the church." That's what they'd say. We know
Wow.
best. And they told him, "You're going to just have to give up that dream. You just, God wants you to stay right here and keep farming." And I
Wow.
have never seen my uncle so heartbroken. And he was dead within 18 months. He died of cancer. It came on so fast. He got into a depressive state. He just couldn't handle it. And he died.
Poisoning within. Yeah, poisoning within. Yeah, yeah. See, that's where religion goes wrong. But they do it in other subtle ways too. A soul says, how much does health play in spiritual growth? Man, that's a great question. Uh, Let me touch on this first. Let me touch on this because I think I brought this up not in this way, but I think I touched on this somewhat before. The church I grew up in and the type of churches that were in my community, obesity was somewhat celebrated. The woman who was the best singer or the women who were the best singers in the choir were the most unhealthiest.
Mm.
Yeah, these was large women. Uh, it was celebrated. Um, fish fries, um, on Fridays, and
Yeah.
food was always around, right? At the church I grew up in that type of community, the Baptist church.
Same
Food,
with mine. Yep.
yeah, food was always around. We never lacked sweets, cakes, pies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the pastors were overweight too. How can you reach the top of your kingdom and just reach that level of Christ consciousness, right? If you're so undisciplined with your health, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that is one thing, not totally, the Pharisees had right and the Old Testament had right. Like, we do need to be careful and be aware of what we put in our mouths. Jesus
Yeah.
came along and said, it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles a man, and what comes out the mouth that defiles a man. Um,
But he said that being an Essene, which was the strictest dietary plan thing on the planet that anybody could follow.
right, 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 right,
That's interesting.
right. So I think is so. So we talked about this earlier, right, in the session. Our heaven and our earth matching, our material world and our spiritual world looking alike, heaven on earth. So there, I just don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's possible. I don't care how great you preach, and let's take it away from the church, right? Um, you may be a great what you do, right? Man, if your health is not where it needs to be, I just don't think you're gonna garner the respect you need to garner. People may not say it, man. They frown upon it. They look down on you if your health, if you're obese, they just look down on it. And
Yeah.
and you can be so great. You can be so great in so many areas. But that health, that's a big thing. And I just don't think you can reach your pinnacle spiritually if you're unhealthy. I just don't see it.
I agree. There's a book, a lady that I got to know. I actually did some classes with her, live classes up north. Her name was Victoria Botinko. She writes a book called Spiritual Awakening, and she's covering that whole aspect. And it really is true. It takes some time, but the more toxic, toxins you hold in your body and in your cells, the lower your vibration is literally going to become. So let's say you're trying to access higher vibrations, which I believe higher vibrations are higher dimensions. It's all one and the same. But let's say you're trying to access those. How in the world are you going to do that if you're putting low vibrational things into your body? And you can literally look up the vibration of foods. So, and again, it's not one size fits all because, again, I'll just give you an example. And my daughter and I did a lot of research on this. So, for example, let's just use alcohol. Alcohol has a certain vibration.
Mhm.
The people that enjoy alcohol, I mean, that are like an alcoholic, for example,
Mhm.
it'll actually raise their vibration because they are at such a low vibration on a day-to-day basis that if they go drink, it'll literally bring their vibration up, that was down here, up here. Now,
Mhm.
somebody whose vibration is typically up here and they go drink alcohol, it's got to come down to that vibration of the alcohol. So, as you see, nothing's on a one size fits all. It all depends on the vibration.
Right, right,
So,
right.
even on any of these drugs, the whole reason that somebody takes a drug is to get high. Now, if somebody that naturally has a high vibration, they take a drug, they're not going to get a high at all. They're
I
going
don't
to
know. I don't know. I don't know.
feel awful.
I don't know. I think they'll go off the hinges.
It's
I,
about where the vibration is, though. Yeah, they'll
yeah,
go off
yeah,
the hinges because they're falling from where they were.
right. Yeah,
The
yeah.
vibrational thing is real.
Oh
And
yeah.
even foods. Let's just say, for example, broccoli.
Hmm.
If you grew broccoli in your garden and you didn't put any chemicals on it, the vibration would be a certain level. Now you go get some commercial broccoli that's actually been sprayed with chemicals upon chemicals, which because broccoli is really susceptible to bugs and stuff like that. The vibration is going to be drastically lower. So even that, I think even that takes a certain intuition. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if let's say you walk into the grocery store and you're walking through the produce aisle,
Hmm.
sometimes something will catch your eye. It might be a cabbage, it might be some certain apples, but it will literally catch your eye and you look at it and you're like, why did that catch my eye? But your eye can actually read the aura around food to know if the
Mm,
vibration is good for you. Now you might be
right.
walking by a friend and the vibration is not good for them because it's different. It's not resonating with the vibration they have. Does that make sense?
Wow. It does. Everybody has a different diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
go into the store, I literally sit back and just look at the stuff, and I can literally pick out the ones Avocados, it's so easy. They'll literally have this golden glow around them.
Yeah.
Cabbages is really easy. You literally can pick out in that bin. You can see
Yes.
the light coming off of them,
Yeah. Yeah. You're
half
right.
consciously, half subconsciously, but you literally can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I pick a, and no better, no one better crap on me about this. You being a so-called white, me being a so-called black, but I pick a great watermelon. Yeah. But yeah, I know how to pick the watermelon. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Says you
man, yeah,
always.
watermelon. Oh,
Yeah.
we lived in the South and raised our own. It's
Yeah.
really hard to find something to beat those grown watermelon once you've had them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to say this too. You could be thin because I kind of focus on obese people, but you could be thin and unhealthy. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Yeah, yeah. I
And
don't want to focus
undisciplined. And
and
undisciplined.
undisciplined. Yes,
Absolutely.
undisciplined. Yeah, yeah. I've met I've met plenty thin alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
I met plenty thin people that can eat you out of house and a home, but their metabolism
Yeah. Me
is
too.
just
Me
out of
too.
control, right? They just can't pick up weight, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't want to focus just on obese people. You could be thin, you could be slender and unhealthy. Yes, you could be
Mm-hmm.
muscular and unhealthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, you can. So yeah, great question.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I definitely think that health plays a huge part in how your vibration is spiritually huge. And I think that's why, like you said, back in the Bible, they had, they had fast days because fasting is one of the quickest ways to remove toxic substances,
right, right.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. Mine didn't go so well. It's the first time it didn't go well, but since I've been fasting, but I'm gonna start again in about 25 days. And I know where I messed up. Usually, there's a preparation that takes place before I actually fast. I get into a certain mode a few days prior. I just jumped into it. It
Hmm.
wasn't even planned. I just jumped into it. I wasn't ready, and so I was like, man, I'll never do that again. But usually, I prepare mentally,
Hmm.
spiritually. You know, 2 or 3 days, or maybe a week prior before I fast. But
Well, the easiest way that I found to help people that have never done it to ease into it is the 24-hour dry fast. That's
mm,
that's literally the fastest way because that doesn't give you such a hard detox, to where you're having all these symptoms. That's
right,
gentle. Even, my parents are in their 70s and I've got them to do that. They've never fasted in their life and I've got them to do that. And my mom's like, "Oh, well, that's not bad." And just that 24-hour dry fast where your body goes into the human growth hormone becomes high. They say in men, in 24 hours of dry fasting, the human growth hormone increases by 2,000%. It's huge.
wow, wow,
It's huge. So that's a really good preparation. Do that, once a week or something like that. And, before you try to go into longer ones, because it just brings it in so gently. It's not harsh. It's just so gentle. And I've had to work with a lot of like people that were seriously sick, that had serious diseases.
mm,
So you have to be really gradual. They have to detox because that's where the disease is. But you have to come in slow. And some people, will start out doing, 18 hours or something like that. But the
yeah,
24 hours are really powerful. It's
oh yeah,
really,
oh yeah, yeah. And I fasted before and from everything, but would still go to a sports bar, and people be like, "You're not drinking?" I'm like, "No, I'm fasting. I got
yeah.
a whole month to go," and they didn't understand it, and I wasn't tempted. Uh,
Hmm.
but the way I did it this time, and this is probably my 6th year, the way I did it this time, uh, no preparation, and then that night I went to a birthday party at a cigar lounge.
Oh,
That's my thing, cigars. But I still could
yeah.
have done it. I still could have done it. I still could have went to the cigar lounge if I had prepped. I think I know if I had prepped properly, like I usually do, I still could have went to the cigar lounge to the birthday party, but I didn't
Mm.
prep properly. Yeah,
So are you saying like get yourself into a mental space so that you're mentally, yeah, uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
prepare yourself mentally. This is what I'm about to enter, and
Mm-hmm.
just prepare yourself. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
willing to deal with whatever comes. Yeah, but I just one day I just said I'm gonna fast tomorrow. And just it like no preparation,
Yeah.
and so
Mm-hmm.
it threw me off. And usually I do this in June anyway, so everything was thrown off. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know why I started it this month. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I'll I'll uh I'll tackle it again next month. But yeah, anything you want to add before
Mm,
we get out of here?
yeah, that's fine. I think we're good.
All right. Hey, I appreciate everybody tapping in. Soul, I appreciate you, brother. The Power Circle, y'all check that out. The link is in the bio. We're doing some great things. It's powerful. We got people from everywhere, some powerful men, and we're just elevating. We're elevating. Power Circle was created, founded by Soul Immortal. I'm an ambassador, along with Brother Phil. He might have ordained some more brothers. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a powerful movement, and we're just growing every day. So check that out. Check out Phoenix Rising IG page. That's her handle right there. Phoenix, yes, it's
Yeah, and
spelled correctly.
I flip my letters around if you wonder, so don't go try to spell it the other way because I like to flip letters.
Yes,
I
so it's spelled how she wants it spelled. Check her out. uh, free, free asked if Phoenix was gonna start a YouTube channel. She's thinking about that, so we'll keep you up on that. So when she figures it out, we'll keep you up on it. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Joining us, we'll be back here 6:30 p.m. Central next Tuesday. You'll see me before then, but we will be back here next Tuesday at 6:30. All right. As always, love, peace.